Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Well, welcome to Getting to Know You. My name is Joe Nash. Today we're here talking to Barbara Richer and Nate Bette from the Barbara's from the Vanguard Albany Symphony, Inc., and we're going to be talking about what they do. And one of their yearly events is the Vanguard Showhouse, and we have the owner of that house. That's Nate. The house is right here in Loudonville. It's Stafford Road, right up near St. Pius. So welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
So before we talk about the Showhouse and all the events going on, Barbara, tell us about Vanguard Albany Symphony, Inc. and what you guys do over and above this yearly fundraiser for the Showhouse.
Well, we're actually the primary volunteer fundraiser and service supporter of the Albany Symphony Orchestra. And we know that the Albany Symphony Orchestra is a jewel that we have here in the Capital Region. And Vanguard has been providing them financial and service support for over 40 years, actually almost 45 years.
Okay.
We do that through providing ushers and food for the orchestra and transportation for composers and soloists, and by raising funds through a variety of activities during the year.
And
our biggest one is the Showhouse.
Okay. And all the people, they're all volunteers that work?
All volunteers,
okay.
Completely a volunteer organization.
So your biggest fundraiser every year is the Vanguard Showhouse. So what is the Vanguard? This is our 31st house? Okay. Now
this is our 31st show house.
And what is the idea behind all this?
The idea behind it is to find a home that we can invite designers, the best designers in the Capital Region, in to recreate or redecorate that home, as the case may be. We've done brand new homes, we've done townhomes, we've done historic homes, and historic homes is what we really very much enjoy doing. We find a home in the community that will be able to be vacant for a 3-month period of time, and we invite these designers to come in and request certain rooms to redecorate.
Okay.
Most of our homes have a theme, and very often, like with this house, which is a magnificent historic home, the owner helps us to decide how closely we stick to the integrity of that house and what leeway the designers have. What has always turned out to be a remarkable flow to the home, where there are beautiful pieces in each room, but the person coming through really gets a sense of what it must have been like to live there.
Okay. So this year's house was built in 1839. We have the owner here, Nate Bette. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Now, how does one's historic home become part of Vanguard for the Showhouse? How do you get involved with this?
It's kind of funny how we got involved. I've lived next to the house for 20 years. My parents actually subdivided their property when they built their house from this lot that I bought. So 20 years ago, they built their house, and I lived there pretty much my whole life, with my family. And when the house was put up for sale again after the passing of Dr. Brandow, who was the previous owner, we decided if it comes down to a good enough price, maybe we'll buy it and redevelop it and make it nicer, because it always was neglected and looking derelict from when I lived there. It was painted white, totally different than the image you see now in your program is. But it has good bones, and when we looked at it initially to go buy it, structurally it was pretty sound. There's not too much wrong with it. And we looked at it from a cost standpoint, saying if we do this, you can probably still make money off of it and have a really nice product at the end. So the whole point of it was really to save the structure from the wrecking ball, because otherwise someone would have just come in and knocked it down, built whatever they wanted there.
Now, it is a historic home, isn't it? Built in the 1830s?
It's built in 1839. The original owner was William Shepard, who was a state assemblyman and also a judge around the Albany area, but he made his money being a merchant. So he built the original structure, which is the main square that you see when you look at the house. Then after other owners would add on and subtract and add their value to the home. So what I look at myself doing is being the next substantial renovator to the house,
And you come
adding
from
my
a-
own touch.
You come from a
I do.
construction background? Okay.
My grandfather was I guess he's the second generation because his uncle down in Long Island started a construction company. So the family's been in the industry
Yeah.
for a long time. So my great uncle, my grandfather, and my father were all in the industry, and I worked for all of them at one point or another. I did some bridge work for Betty and Crane, which is our construction arm in this area now. And then when I got out of college, I was trying to find what I wanted to do, and that was around the same time the house was coming on the market. It was right before I graduated from Siena this past spring, and we looked at it. Originally, I was just going to have it be a side project, and I was going to go get a real job, but it turned into this big production, and it ended up being my full-time occupation. So
Well, how did you get involved for the show house?
well, we actually got connected through a mutual contact between us and Vanguard was Beth Bischoff from M&T Bank, who's actually doing my financing for the last half of the show house construction. So she knew people on the Vanguard board and
Okay.
got us together back in August. They usually started looking for houses around then. So we brought Barbara, her husband, and some of the other
Okay.
Vanguard board members over, and they were floored by the house, even at its state back then, which I didn't think was very impressive, but it's worked out very well, and I'm really happy we got together because
And there's going to be a lot of events coming up. February 19th and 20th, there's going to be a sneak peek, and starting May 1st, the house will be open for 3 weeks where people can come and take tours and look around. And we'll talk about that in a second, but I'll go back to Barbara. Before you became the president of Vanguard, you were the the coordinator of the show house for 4 years.
Right.
So what's this process? I mean, how does this
It's a
all...
huge process, actually, but there are a couple primary things, and one is the design coordinator, and the job of that person is to work directly with the designers, to send out the letters to the designers, to invite them in, to award the spaces, and then to work with them in whatever way you can, and to keep the house open for them so that they can work from the 1st of March when Vanguard comes into the house through the end of April, the 1st of May when we open. And the design coordinator takes care of that. Last year I was privileged enough to become the president of Vanguard. So with the presidency of Vanguard comes the necessity to become the chair of the overall show house.
Okay.
So I've passed the mantle of design coordinator on to...
So do you contact the designers? Do they contact you, or how does that...
It's a little of both, but primarily, since this is our 31st house house that we've
You got it
done,
down
we
by
have
now, right?
we have quite a list. We have quite a list of designers, and we send a letter out as soon as we identify the house. And in this case, it was earlier in the fall, and invite them to come and see the house. But
And they can-
we have a lot of returning designers, and we have some wonderful new designers.
So then they get to sort of, do they bid on the room they want to do or something?
It's kind of like it is kind of like bidding. They have to request 3 rooms and do a brief little written thing about what they might do with those rooms, and then the design committee awards the spaces.
Okay.
And then the designers are obliged to develop a complete design board, which they present with all their design ideas for that specific room.
Okay.
The design committee reviews those boards, and then we sat, as we always do, with the owner in this case.
Well, I was going to say,
with
Nate, it's your house. Do you get a say in the...
Oh, yeah,
I
he
had
does.
my own design committee actually for
You
the
did.
whole process. So what we actually did was after Barbara and Paul awarded all the spaces and got design
Okay.
boards from everybody, they brought those to myself, my architect, Mike Finney, who's actually done a great job with the rest of the outside design. My father, who's another financial backer of this whole project, and my builder, C.J. O'Rourke, is my GC for the job.
Yeah.
I'm acting as GC, but he's built my entire garage addition and has been doing a lot of other stuff. So I wanted him present for the buildability side of it to make sure all the stuff the designer wants to do is possible, or if there's easier ways of doing things, he can point those out. So we met with all those people, and we made our decisions about how we were going to change the designers' boards and their concepts to actually fit the house better. Because I really do want to be sensitive to the history. It's an old building. I think it deserves to be preserved in a manner that keeps with the history, but I don't want to do that at the sake of not being able to live there.
Well,
I want another family to come live in this house and have
You had to have some
theirs
modern
right.
conveniences in there.
I think we've been really lucky. Vanguard always tries hard to work closely with the owner of the house, whether it's the owner who's living in the house or whether it's a house that's going to be for sale. And in this case, and with every historic home, there's an integrity that the house will present itself. And Nate chose to stay with that integrity in large part. And then as you move through the house and into the newer areas, to introduce, a different sensibility, perhaps. The house is federal in style, and so we start from that premise. But as he said, we want it to be a house that's comfortable for a family to live in. So there'll be obviously furnishings and things that are more comfortable than the federal furnishings.
Well, the
back then.
house has a name. This is back when they used to name houses. It's called Prospect Place. And it must be old because I'm looking at some of the rooms. You have a butler's pantry and things like that.
Yes.
I'm just going to read a few of these and give people an idea of what you were just talking about. And I should say, all these designers and decorative artists and also people working on the outside, they're all donating their time. Is that what you were?
This is a fundraiser. This becomes the primary fundraiser, as we talked about, and we've been blessed over all these years that the designers stay interested in this. It is an opportunity for them to show some of the best of the work that they do, but they also do it entirely free for Vanguard and for the symphony. So. Yes, all of their work is donated.
And on February 19th and 20th, it's a Saturday and Sunday, the house will be open for a sneak peek. People can come. It's a $10 admission or donation, I guess you could say, and all the designers will be there, and people can meet them and talk to them and ask them their ideas. So I'm just going to read a few examples of what you were talking about so people get an idea. For example, the center hall is being designed by Arthur Fowler Decorative Painting. The parlor is by the Blair House Interiors Group. The library is being designed by Rudy Grant and David Siders. Experience and creative design. So there's over 20 here, so that you get the idea, and they'll be donating their time. And so tell us about now on February 19th and 20th. It's sort of like an open house or sneak peek, you're calling it.
Right.
The rooms won't be done then, right? They'll sort of.
No, Nate is still making his magic happen. Nate and his crew are doing the renovating, which is remarkable, absolutely remarkable.
People will be able to see what they're going to do.
Yes.
And then when you come back in May.
Yes, when they come back
Okay.
when they come in on the 19th or the 20th, Nate will have his crew clean up the house relatively, and the designers will be in their rooms, and their design boards will be there. And so they'll be able to talk with people that come through, and the folks will be able to see a real before, what is before, along with some remarkable pictures I'm hoping that we can put on a DVD and have playing right there, so they'll be able to see the work that Nate has done, which is incredible. So they'll be able to get a real sense of where this project started, where it is right now on the 19th and 20th of February. And that's for $10. You meet the designers. Nate may even be there.
You walk around the whole group.
You can hear some of the history. You can see the before of the house. You can have some refreshments, all for $10. And then March 1st, when Vanguard moves in, our designers work for 2 months to do their sense of the magic. And then the 1st of March is our preview party. The 3rd
1st of May.
1st of May. 1st of May, thank you, is our preview party. And the 3rd of May is our official opening.
And then the house is open for, was it 3 weeks?
3 weeks, open for 3 weeks.
And people can just come anytime.
People can come. Their hours will be on the website.
I'll say it's Vanguard, vanguardshowhouse.org. It'll be on the screen here. You can go and find that.
And we can also give you a number to call. We are closed on Sundays, but open every other day of the week as of the 3rd of May. And People can come. They can spend as much time as they want. It's an $18 entry fee. Lunches are available and catered, and those do require a reservation for lunches in our cafe, which will also be there. There's a wonderful boutique that will also be there. The gardens and surroundings are absolutely beautiful, thanks to the work that Nate had done in the fall. Lovely reflecting pool. They can spend time in the yard and the gardens. There are also seminars, so you can make it an hour long, 2 hour long, or a day long.
Well, I was going to say, besides room designers, you have some decorative artists. You have people that do the grounds.
You mentioned Arthur Fowler. He's an amazing decorative artist, as are several others that are in the house this time around. Does much of his work in New York and has worked with us before. So the walls and the treatments and things that Nate has chosen will be remarkable.
When I was reading on the website, there's 6 fireplaces in here? Was that? Okay.
All working.
So Nate,
a pain to get done because the flue chambers were all clogged with 170 years worth of stuff, so we had to break through the outside walls and actually get for code reasons you need steel liners in all your chimneys, so breaking those apart and getting them down was a big chore, but the chimneys are all close to being totally redone.
How long has it been since someone has lived in this house?
It's been about 2.5 years.
Oh, only 2.5 years, okay. So someone had lived in it up until like 2008 or so. So now, Nate, you have to work with, I'm looking here, over 20 different designers and artists. What are you, just running around from room to room the whole, how does it?
It's not really that bad.
Because you have the final say, don't you, in all
right.
that?
I made it so that my father and I kind of make the final decisions on how it's going to look, but we're pretty confident that a lot of the designers really know what they're doing, and there hasn't been a lot that I've really had to correct. It's been nice that Barb has put the designers in certain spaces because it's worked out really well so far. And
so Barbara was saying that each designer presents you with a couple ideas and you just choose one, and then?
They basically gave me their design board, which entails what they really want to do. So I can take that and say, I like your wall covering, but your window treatments are kind of different. Why don't you change it to something like this? And I had my own thoughts on what each room was going to be like, so I kind of told them before they even did their design boards what I'm really looking for. And I communicated that through Barbara and her husband on each room, just to kind of convey, okay, this is our vision for it, but if you have ideas, I definitely want to hear them, because they do it for a living. I mean, I just build the stuff, and I mean, I would think I'd have good taste because I have been in the business for a while, but it's their kind of thing, and I would like them to have.
How do you combine something? You know, the house was originally built in 1839, and then this is obviously 2011. How do you sort of balance that?
Well, so much has been done to it since the original construction. Like the Bette family was the second family to own it, and actually on maps that we found, it was called the Bette Villa after Prospect Place. So that family did the whole back end addition where the kitchen is now. There used to be servants' quarters on top of that, which is my new master bedroom, and then my addition, which is put on within the last couple of months, goes even further out that same space. So I didn't want to alter the main footprint. I wanted to continue building off the back, and kind of just followed the way it's been going, and it worked really well. It needed a attached garage to be accommodating for a modern family, so I had to engineer a way to fit it on there without making it with like.
It'll be a combination of the old and the new.
Right. It's a federal house in character for the most part. It's different in a couple areas because the roof was replaced 110 years ago when the house burned down. So that's not really a federal roof. It's more of a Victorian or Queen Anne looking style.
Is the original bricks and frames still?
Yes.
Okay.
But then the back addition, where the kitchen and the master bedroom are, was built around the 1880s. And we know that because we actually were doing some demolitions in there. We took a chimney down that used to go down to the kitchen to pull everything out of the range. And we found a newspaper from 1881. It's like a New York Times Herald or something. So we know that's how old it is. But I didn't want to disrupt the character too much. I want that federal feel throughout most of the house. So that's what we're really going with.
Now,
most of the
is the
decoration.
house on the, what's that, is it on the historical register? Or
No,
something?
it's not.
Okay.
I doubt I'm going to get it on there because I'm switching out most of the windows.
Okay.
I saved,
There's certain requirements you got to meet to get on.
right, they're going to
okay.
want you to do things a certain way, and it really would just hinder the construction
Yeah.
right now. I wanted to do it my way, and I didn't think taking the windows out was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm really just upgrading it to the standard of living
Yeah.
for the 2010s. I mean, that's what the last substantial owners did. Like Shepherd built it and did all this stuff with the land. Burt's put the back addition on. The Townsend family was the third family to own it. They built a carriage house in the back, which is
Okay.
my office, and they also replaced all the windows and the floors throughout the house.
Okay, so you
Do
know,
it
you
on
were
plaster.
talking about the servants' quarters, and I see on the list there's a butler's pantry. I think in Loudonville, weren't a lot of the houses back then summer homes for
They
people
were,
from-
and actually, Prospect Place was that. William Shepherd had another house downtown where he would actually live, and they would go to this house in Loudonville for the summertime just to
Oh,
get
okay.
out of the city and escape the riffraff, I guess.
So now, when this process is done, after people can come and look at it for 3 weeks, the first 3 weeks of May, you're going to be selling the house? Is
Yes.
that how it?
Well, it's going to be on the market towards
Okay.
the end of this month.
All right, so maybe someone who
so
comes
we're-
might want to buy.
Right. I mean, the goal would be to have it on the market before we do the show, just so it's set. But worst case is we market it through the show house, and
Okay.
I'm sure someone going through it is going to want to see
And
it.
Barbara was telling me before we started, when people are going through the show house in May, when it's all done, all the items in the house are going to be
Everything.
for sale?
About 95% of what's in the house will be for sale. Now, our designers, I just wanted to backtrack just one bit, worked very closely with Nate and his sense of integrity for the house. All of their plans represent their background in what is federal also. So it's been a good marriage, and it's been a good marriage, I think, between them and Nate because they're all professionals. So they've really brought a lot to the table, I think, for the interior of the house and some of the exterior as well. But yes, once it is completely finished and the show house is open, nearly everything in the house is actually for sale. And during that period of time, that 3 weeks that it's open, there is no sales tax charge.
Oh,
so
okay.
you're able to make a little bit of a savings there, while at the same time making a donation to the
So
Symphony
part of the
Orchestra.
money will go to the.
Part of the
okay.
money, part of everything sold in the house goes directly to the Symphony
Mm-hmm.
Orchestra. And everything that we take in from the cafe and from the beautiful boutique that we have that operates in the house also, all of the funds from that goes directly to the
Okay.
orchestra.
And like I was saying, this is one of the biggest fundraisers for.
Our goal is
For-
to raise about $75,000 through each show house. So that will be our goal this year.
Okay, so let's just talk about really quickly then, as we're getting near the end, February 19th and 20th, and what are the hours going to be for that?
For the sneak peek, the 19th and 20th, it's Saturday and a Sunday from 2 to 5.
2 to 5, okay.
2 to 5. $10 at the door.
Okay, and then
And-
starting.
And starting, there's a wonderful preview party, which takes place on the 1st of May, and there'll be information on that on the website.
website, okay.
And at telephone number 872-9883. 872-9883 for questions, or go to the website.
And the preview party is kind of like the grand opening.
The grand opening.
Okay.
There will be a ribbon cutting.
All
There will
right.
be dignitaries there to do the ribbon cutting.
good.
There will be entertainment. We always have a baby grand piano in the house with live music on the piano representing the orchestra.
Okay.
Champagne catered by the Old Daily Inn at another house that we will be announcing later is the actual party after viewing the house.
Oh, okay, so the May 1st thing is not going to be
It
at.
begins at the show house.
Oh, okay.
And
Then
then
you-
we will be
Oh, I
going
see.
to
All right.
another house where the actual
Okay.
party will be. And then May 3rd, Tuesday, May 3rd, the house opens.
Opens for
And-
3.
And again, for those hours, you would go to the show house website, www.vanguardshowhouse.org, or to that telephone number, 872-9883.
Well, I was on the website. There's at the moment there's pictures of sort of the construction. You can see that, but by then there'll probably be all kinds of.
There's a
pictures,
piece on the sneak a peek. If you click on sneak a peek, that will give you some information, and preview party information
Okay.
and regular hours will be coming up. I should say that the theme, because we incorporated, Nate chose to hang on to, and I'm glad he did, the name that William Shepard gave the house, which is Prospect Place. And so our theme this year is Prospect Place, a symphony of past and
Okay.
present beauty. And that ties in our orchestra.
Okay. Are there any other? I think I know where this house is because I sort of live near there. It's over near St. Pius. Are there other houses around there from that era? I don't.
Not really.
so
it
it's-
kind of stands by itself as a house from that age, which was kind of interesting because you would think they would build them on Albany Shaker Road like they have on Route 9. I have a copy of a lithograph from the 1800s showing Loudon Road, but this house, Prospect Place, is in the background. You
Yeah.
can see over the other side of the hill. It's sitting by itself with a couple of outbuildings that were part of the property at the time. But there was nothing else immediately next to it that was the same age. There's
Yeah.
one that's close, that's on the corner of, I think it's off Albany Shaker. It's one over from Everett. I think that's from the 1880s.
Okay.
But there's nothing really as old as this one on that side.
All right. So you're
But we-
on Stafford Road, right?
We do
Stafford
have the
Street.
wonderful Tenbrook Mansion and the Prine
that's right,
House.
yeah.
Prine
Prine
House
House is in-
also. So we're also hoping to have maybe a combined tour of those three
All right.
homes at some
Okay.
point.
So one last question then for Nate. I guess I'll ask you. Now you're involved with over 20 designers, and you're in. Now, are you how much work are you do? Are you in every room working? Or are you how much are you doing? I don't mean besides choosing the actual work. Are you doing? a
Yeah,
little of everything?
I'm coordinating pretty much everywhere.
Okay.
And I started out back in April tossing all the junk out of the house myself.
Okay.
So
So I think the ground. I think Barbara was telling me, is the landscaping already done already?
yeah, we actually finished that towards the end of the fall this past year. So actually, Jackie McClory was my landscape designer, did a phenomenal
Okay.
job. She's actually one of the designers for
Oh,
the
she's
house.
one of the
Yes.
people.
Right,
okay.
she's doing my two outdoor patios, which she helped me design. And my actual landscaper, John Keegan from Perennial Landscaping and John Kennedy from his landscaping company, it's the same name. They both did the softscape and the hardscape together and did a really nice job. I think that's really going to be one of the major
Okay.
selling points in the house.
Along with the beautiful ironwork on the front of the house that Nate was able to, believes came from one of the owners, the Townsend family,
okay.
a very prominent family, and owned the house for quite a long while, who were politically involved here in Albany.
Okay.
Were there two mayors, I think, from that family, possibly?
From the family, there were at least two. And a lot of the previous owners were buried in Albany Rural Cemetery, so
Okay.
we've been trying to do a lot of research on these guys and find out.
Well, I had a list
who they
of
really
some, I
were.
had a list of some of the previous owners, and I'm not going to read them all, but I see that there's a Van Rensselaer in here somewhere.
Well, that's
was the
interesting because
original.
he actually owned the property, and
Oh, okay.
I can tell you the story of that. The father, Stephen Van Rensselaer III, was the last patroon.
Okay.
So the patroonship ended with him when it got outlawed in that age.
Okay.
He died in January of 1839, and his sons had the whole patroonship split down the middle with the Hudson River. So Stephen Van Rensselaer IV is the one that owned the
Okay.
property right before Shepard. He sold a piece of it to Shepard, and you see Samuel Miller also on the same
okay,
list.
yeah, I got that list.
They sold their two pieces to Shepard to combine the, 86 acres or something original
Okay.
was the parcel. So it's a really old piece of property when you look at it that way. It's from a patroonship.
Okay.
And for our programs, we will have historians, for your history buffs out there, we will have historians
Okay.
at different times during the time that the show house is open, who will be speaking to the whole history of the
Oh, you
house
have-
and
you're
the
gonna have, like,
history of the
little lectures
region.
there.
We have
Okay, I know what you
seminars
mean.
also that are free, so and
okay.
they will be on the website as well. So
Oh, good.
and some of those will be the history talks.
All right, well, then it's vanguardshowhouse.org. If you're interested in history, in architectural history, and also in helping out the Albany Symphony Orchestra, you can come to the Vanguard Showhouse on Stafford Road right here in Loudonville. with a sneak peek on February 19th and 20th. And the house will be open for 3 weeks, starting May 3rd, with May 1st, the big party. It'll all be on the website. So Barbara and Nate, thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We'll
Thanks
see
for
you over
having
there,
us.
and we'll see you next time on Getting to Know You.